The following program is furnished by K1 International, LLC, and is responsible for its content. Now, from the fifth floor Cumulus Studios in downtown Dallas, it's time for Inside Real Estate. Here's your host, Michael Kruizinga.
Good morning, Texas. How we doing out there? Welcome to your Sunday morning. Time to talk a little bit of real estate. And, of course, we're going to throw a little sports, entertainment, politics, and fun stuff in there for you. Hey, as always, the website is InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com, and you can go there for podcasts or all kinds of fun information, get connected to our partners. Had a great conversation last week, by the way, with Mark Meckler, conventionofstates.com. If you're not up to speed on what's going on in the various states, including Texas, on a push for the Convention of States, I'd highly recommend checking out that interview. It's on the website, and you can check out their website as well. If you want to talk to us, feel free to give us a shout, 888-787-KLIF, 888-787-KLIF. So we'd love to talk to you. By the way, I would love to do some real estate business with you. So, hey, if you're thinking about selling out there, give me a shout. Thinking about buying as well. And, hey, you know what? If you just know somebody that's looking to buy or sell, I do have a great referral program. Unfortunately, Texas law prohibits me from paying cash for referrals, you know. That's a no-no. I'll get slapped down. But, hey, there's nothing against, you know, me giving folks gift certificates, you know. And so for referrals that I get from people that are in my referral network, you know, whether you want American Airlines or Southwest Airlines gift certificates or gift cards, or, you know, sometimes it's a request for the steakhouse or the Texas de Brazil. Hey, you know, you can get some nice dinners on me, plus some nice trips somewhere. How about tickets to Hawaii? You know, cruise tickets. I've gotten that request, and I leave it up to the, you know, the person who's doing the referring. You know, and so if you get into my referral network, you know, and you know, you want to refer business to someone that knows what they're doing, and I know a thing or two, and you know, send me some business, and you know, we'll get you into our referral network, and you know, get some nice perks with that as well. Hey, here in the show today, we're going to be doing some talking, as always, with Richard Tonihka with Goosehead Insurance, and so we're going to talk with him later in the show. How's it going, Richard?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
Excellent. And we're also going to be talking Senate Bill 1894 with Perry Cockerell, our resident expert attorney, and so we'll be talking with him. And of course, we've got a great guest here in studio. We've got Henry S. Miller from the legendary, iconic HSM, and so we'll be talking real estate with him, so we're excited about that. We're going to run through some headlines. There's a lot going on out there, and so I've got a lot to do, a lot to talk to you about, and so we're going to start rapid firing through these early today.
Fantastic.
Instead of doing one of my early rants in the show, you know, ranting and raving on something.
I can't even begin to tell you how happy I am about this one.
I know. All right, so let's talk about this. Hey, the Lonesome Dove Ranch is going on the market. How about $14.975 million? And, you know, from the TV show, the miniseries back in 1989. You remember that Lonesome Dove, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I never watched a single episode, but I'm well aware of it.
All right, you're booted out of here. You're the only Texan that's never watched that. What in the heck?
Most Texans haven't watched that.
Oh, come on. I don't believe it. So anyway, Lonesome Dove Ranch. Yeah, hey, that's going on sale. Hey, it's called the Wildcatter Ranch and Resort. 15,000 square foot main house, 16-room hotel, 16 cabin suites, a couple homes, 25,000 square foot restaurant, enclosed pavilion, and lots of other good stuff. So, hey, that's hitting the market. You know, there's a lot of ranches. The Waggoner Ranch sold recently. A lot of things going on. Alice Walton's place did.
That did sell, didn't it?
Yeah, that sold. So a lot going on in the ranches. You know, we brought those stories as they came. Hey, GameStop, they're going to be closing about 150 stores upcoming, and of course, you know, they got hammered on their stock. But you know, I didn't know this. Here's something I learned here. Did you know it operates stores for AT&T, Cricket Wireless, and a couple other brands as well?
Seriously?
Yeah, I did not know that. They have said that by 2019 they want to shift out of the gaming, really the gaming industry, as they were set up. And obviously that's got to be because everybody who games, games online now, and they're not really going to the stores. But we all know storefronts are, about to be, dead in a lot of cases. We've seen all the electronic stores go under. People are buying Amazon, etc.
Well, when you're seeing Walmart actually diversify and start getting more into the online shopping as well, there's a big change or a big shift that's coming up in how people are purchasing.
Yeah. So, but nice thing is that they've seen it way in advance, and they've been saying this for quite a while. Like we're trying to diversify and move on, and they will, or otherwise they're going to die. They'll be like Radio Shack. The Nebraska Furniture Mart over there in the Colony, the massive thing. Well, it's just a little piece of a huge, massive project that's being worked on over there. 400-acre mixed-use project. Warren Buffett's backing it. It's going to be $1.5 billion. Of it, there's going to be a $45 million boardwalk, sort of restaurant district, the hotel, spa, luxury movie theater, residential homes, office buildings, and entertainment, et cetera, et cetera. So if you thought that thing was big, wait till what's coming up around it, finishes up. So,
and this won't be like the things that are supposed to be around the ballpark and and Cowboy Stadium. This is actually going to happen.
Well, who knows? Yes, we've heard many things before, but you know what? It is booming, like we said earlier before the show. The entire Metroplex is booming everywhere, and so as long as the wheels stay on, I guess it'll be built. What else is going on? Hey, something going on down in Deep Ellum. This is a new project called the Epic, and it's, I guess, going to be epic. It's going to be on an 8-acre tract, which includes the historic Union Bankers Building over near Pacific Street and Latimer Expressway, adjacent to the Dallas Area Rapid Transit, the Deep Ellum Rail Station. And so this will be an interesting project. This is just another project where it's going to be mixing, retail, some office space, and then, of course, some residential, kind of, typical of what we're seeing kind of in Uptown and other areas. So another unique project there, a couple different buildings. What else is going on? Hey, the F-16 is about done here in Fort Worth. The last F-16 is going to be delivered in September, and they're shifting everything for F-16 over to South Carolina, and everything pretty much in Fort Worth is all going to be F-35. So there's about 200 people working on F-16 still here in Fort Worth. They're going to be probably shifted over to Greenville, South Carolina, and they may need another 50 over there. But for the F-35, by the way, there's 8,800 employees working on the F-35, of which there's going to be another 1,800 on top of that coming as they fully ramp up the F-35 here in Fort Worth at Lockheed Martin. So they're running about 50 right now a year, and hoping to be at 150 F-35s a year by 2019. By the way, on the F-16, which has been, the workhorse for so long, they've delivered over 4,500 F-16s.
I was going to say, why are they still producing those?
Mainly for other countries.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
also.
mainly for other countries, yeah. 3,600 of those were built in Fort Worth. So.
We're not going to give you the new model, but you can have last year's model.
Yeah, you get these old avionics, and, we have the codes to everything, by the way. They'll do nothing to us. But you can use them to do things to other
That'll
people.
Be great for y'all.
You can play with your neighbors over there with these old F-16s. Hey, Dallas Stars and Mansfield coming together on a new Dr. Pepper Ice Center in Mansfield. So you probably have seen these things around the Metroplex. There's one in Euless, Farmers Branch, Frisco, Irving, McKinney, Plano, Richardson. And now Mansfield is going to get a Dr. Pepper Star Center. So they're working with the city of Mansfield. $15.1 million ice rink, and could be leased and operated by the Dallas Stars, of course, like the rest of them. But, of course, it is also part of a larger mixed-use development, which is going to be called the Shops at the Broad. And so there'll be a lot going on down there in Mansfield as well.
I'm looking forward to it because that's just around the corner from us.
Yeah, that's right in our backyard. You know what? Had a nice Harley ride last night with the lady, and so we headed down south of Mansfield. We were thinking about stopping in Mansfield for a bite to eat, but we cruised on further south to Venus.
Oh, my goodness.
And stopped. We had two choices, the Whataburger or the Sonic.
The Sonic.
And so we went with the Whataburger.
I guess the taco place went under.
I guess so. I saw donuts. Actually, I take that back. You know what? There was a Subway. There's a Subway there as well. But we had us a nice Whataburger. So I'm just waiting. You know, I guess we need to buy land in Venus. You know, maybe that's the I'll have to get with you, Mr. Miller, and see if that's the next great spot. We should buy land down there. In Venus, yeah. So, hey, what else is going on? Hey, remember when all the airlines were just, ecstatic about flying to Cuba and opening up Cuba? Well, now they're yanking a lot of those flights back because guess what? There's just not as much demand heading down to Cuba as people thought.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocking. Yeah, I mean, when you're thinking about, the Caribbean, there's so many destinations, so many places to go. Honestly, I mean, when I found out that this was going to be, an option to go down there, then I was like, okay, we'll put it on the list. But honestly, it's at the pretty bottom of the list.
Yes.
And there's so many places ahead of Cuba for me to go to. I mean, it'd be some nice history maybe to go check it out, but it's really towards the bottom of the list. And I'd have to think it's probably like that for a lot of people. So,
well, when me and my wife were talking about it, and we were just like, it's such a poor country that we really don't want to see that. And I mean, to get out, we love getting out and seeing the culture and seeing the different, getting off the beaten path. And that's just not appealing to us at all.
Yeah.
At this point.
Right. Yeah. It's, well, Rick Steves did a special on it as soon as they opened it up. Good old Rick Steves on public television, longtime travel expert. Who of which is, by the way, is actually going to be here at the tourism show. I believe it's at Market Hall or the convention center, one of the two, next weekend. And he's actually going to be live in town speaking, at that thing. I'm kind of a big fan of his, but he did a special on it and was really trying to pump it up, but it was, I think, kind of hard for him to pump up because there's not much going on with it.
No.
So next story, we can quite possibly be carrying in Arkansas on campus and into the games. And, of course, there was kind of a brutal story by the USA Today suggesting that people should boycott NCAA events in Arkansas because of this. Obviously, he's against firearms in general and carrying firearms. But I'm telling you, ladies at a lot of these campuses, they need to be carrying, and they need to be carrying anywhere and everywhere because we talk about, the sexual assaults against women on campuses nationwide, and it's absolutely unreal what's being done to some of these women. Every single woman, I think, on a college campus better be carrying. They need to learn. Obviously there's a lot of campuses you can't. I think you should be able to, but if they could, I say, hey, you need to learn to use a firearm, and if you are living somewhere where you can carry a firearm, ladies out there, you need to learn how to carry it.
Oh, I think every person should know how to shoot.
I agree too.
In fact, my wife's a better shot than I am.
Well, there you go. What else is going on? Maybe I got a couple more to hit before we can get through. I thought this was cool. Let's go to sports. Jerry West, who was logo man, for the NBA, he said when he's looking at players scouting, he's looking to see when they're playing their worst. He doesn't want to see them at their best. He wants to see them at their worst because he wants to see how they play through it, because it's a long season. It's a very long season. And he actually looks to the bench to see when they go to the bench, how are they interacting with their players? Are they pouting, their mental demeanor, and, what are they doing? Are they still in the game for the team, or are they still just in the game for themselves? and I love that. And I think a lot of coaches need to be doing that because there's so many guys that are just so selfish. They forget about it. I mean, look, it's a long grind of a season, and that's why this guy's been so successful in the NBA, not only as a player, but I mean, he's been in management for so long, and at GM level, different places.
Where is he now?
Golden State.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Golden State. Kirk Cousins is going to be a father. Kirk, I am your father. Oakland still trying to hold on to the Raiders, but it's probably not going to happen.
No.
But they're trying. They're saying, hey, we'll build a stadium where the current one is. But we've talked about, I brought this story in here so many times about going to Vegas. Looks like they're going to Vegas, unfortunately. And of course, San Diego's already in LA. So, and as are the Rams. We got force-fed LA because it's a major market.
I know. And is there any more people that do not care about football as much as LA does?
I know, right? In San Diego, I mean, they put out ads. There was a whole list of companies. Remember we did that story? A whole list of companies that put out ads in the newspaper saying, please don't go. And if you do go, we're not going to help you move. All right, folks. Hey, we're going to take a short break. Then we're going to come back with Henry S. Miller III. We're going to take a short break. See you in a few.
Glenn Beck. Chaos is coming in the healthcare world because this is not going to last. It has to be changed. It has to be fully repealed, pulled up by the roots, and the free market restored and freed up.
Glenn Beck, 8 till 11 on News and Information, 570 AM, KLIF.
Truck drivers, if you haven't made the move to Schneider yet, March is your golden opportunity to join an industry leader. Several Texas driving jobs feature limited time sign-on bonuses, and a recruiter will hold hiring events March 14th through the 29th in the Dallas area. Events in Dallas, Waco, Fort Worth, Denton, and Corsicana. That's March 14th through the 29th. Get full event details and info on all of Schneider's Dallas area driving jobs and sign-on bonuses at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Folks, it's Mike Kruizinga here with Inside Real Estate Sports Entertainment on 570 AM KLIF. Did you know that virtually all of us will experience a fall in the bathtub at some point in our life? Well, statistically, it's true, and as we get older, a fall in the bathtub can spell disaster, as we just can't recover the same as we did in our younger years. Don't let something as silly and preventable as a bathtub fall put an end to all your special plans you have lined up for your golden years. Invest in a Hydrojet walk-in bathtub. Made in the USA and with the lowest step in the industry, Hydrojet walk-in tubs has your best interest at heart. With no commissioned sales staff or huge warehouse overhead, they build and sell direct to you, saving you thousands of dollars over their competitors. Call Randy, my friend and owner of Hydrojet Walk-in Tubs at 855-980-8827 or go to hydrojetwalkintubs.com. You'll be able to speak with Randy directly, and make sure to mention you heard about it on the radio. And for you veterans out there, there's a grant available for you to cover the majority of the cost of a walk-in tub, making it darn near free. Call Randy at 855-980-8827 or go to hydrojetwalkintubs.com today.
570 AM, 96.3 HD2. That's where you'll find us. News and Information, KLIF.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
How we doing, folks? We are back. InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. Time for our special guest segment. We've got an icon in real estate here with us, actually live in studio, so it's awesome. Henry S. Miller III. How are you, sir? Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me here, and thanks to Inside Real Estate Radio, and thanks to KLIF and Richard and Perry. Just glad to be here.
Well, thanks for coming in, and I'm stoked to be talking to you. I mean, look, this is, if you know anything about real estate in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I mean, you've seen Henry S. Miller signs, for commercial, new projects coming all over since the beginning of time almost. The company started back in 1914, and here's one thing I wanted to mention, since I love sports so much, and a lot of people may not know this. Roger Staubach worked for you guys in the off season back during the 70s, part-time.
That's right. In fact, Roger had a cubicle right behind mine at the time, and he used to tease me about my long hair. My hair was probably about the length it is now, but back in those days. that was long hair. So
Yeah.
he used to say that he would try to think of the most heavy rock and roll group he could think of, and he said, "You remind me of Chicago or one of those bands."
Right.
You know, that was about as heavy metal as he could think of. But Roger's a great guy. In fact, Roger likes to tell a story about one of the reasons he decided to stay with Henry S. Miller Company during his pro football career was he and his wife were talking, and he got into the actually insurance business with us. We had an insurance agency at the time, and then transferred to the real estate business, saw more future in that for him. And so they went down to New Orleans for the Super Bowl, and Roger played so well and was victorious. And as he was walking out of his hotel lobby, he was telling his wife, Marianne, that, well, now what? What do you think I should do? And about that time, a man came up and said, Mr. Staubach, here's a telegram for you. And it was one from my father. It said, "Congratulations, Roger. You've now been promoted to vice president." And so he laughed and looked at Marianne. He said, "Well, I guess I'm staying with Henry S. Miller Company."
Right. Unbelievable. Well, it's where he learned all that good stuff, and he's still in the real estate game today, of course, with his company. And but little known fact that he was with you guys way back when he was playing and
for
working,
about 10 years. Yeah,
working in the off season.
That's right.
Of course, if you played under Landry, you might want to always have a backup plan, because you didn't know if he was going to cut you. You didn't know if he was going to cut you at all. Well, Henry Miller has been such a huge part of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, shaping it and developing it. Take us back, early, to the very founding and kind of move us forward in time a little bit, and kind of catch us up.
Well, my grandfather started in real estate in 1914. He was with two companies. The first one was a company called Davidson Davis Real Estate, and then people were going off to war during World War I, and he was disqualified for some medical reasons, and so at that time, the people that he's working for went off to World War I, and he went to another company called Flip and Prather. And Flip and Prather was the company that developed Highland Park Village. And kind of coincidentally, about 50 years later, we bought Highland Park Village. And so there's kind of a long tradition with our company and our family of real estate, and particularly with shopping centers.
And one of the projects that you guys worked on, developed was that is so successful is the West Village, over in Uptown, and is that really where kind of not just maybe here in DFW, but nationally, is that really kind of where we're going with that? I mean, it really truly is the definition of mixed use, where we're talking about, businesses, maybe on the ground floor, and then residences up above, and then we have entertainment and restaurants and bars, and, just like we have over in the West Village, which is, where my broker's office is actually over there as well in Uptown. And is that really kind of the future, you think, that you're seeing? And I think it seems so appealing to the millennial for sure.
Well, it's hard to believe that we started West Village 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And at the time, there wasn't any mixed-use, significant mixed-use development here in Dallas. In fact, we looked around the country for various analogs, and we probably couldn't find more than 5 around the country that had been successful. And it's sometimes a little tricky to put the different uses together and how they work together and how they can help each other. But we felt strongly about it. And my partner in West Village at the time was, and still is, a man named Robert Bagwell, and Phoenix Property Company. So the three of us collaborated, got together, and developed West Village. One of the people that we went to early on was someone who was active in the multifamily business here in Dallas, and they told us, well, Uptown ends at Lemon Avenue, so you're out of the district. This isn't going to work. And when we bought the land, various people had called in and didn't understand what we were doing and wanted us to donate the land for a city park or something like that. But we persevered, and even when people said it wouldn't work. And now it's very successful, and that whole district is booming.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's unreal. So, and it's it's being emulated in many other areas as well. And I think it really sort of set the model, for what really works and what is really appealing to the millennials, because they do want, that, number of coffee shops. They do want the higher end shopping. They do want to have everything right there. And I think we're also seeing this on the other end of the spectrum, as more and more baby boomers, start to say, okay, we're tired, of we've got the empty nest, and sometimes they move into another house, but then there's that next level where they don't want the yard maintenance. And so I'm thinking we're going to see more and more developments like that, only maybe more geared towards the 55 and over, so you kind of almost have two sides of it. One side that's kind of that young, hip, and going to the bars a lot, and then maybe the other end of the spectrum as well. Do you think that?
Well, it's hard to be everything to everyone,
right?
And so
because those two demographics don't always want to be in the same area.
Not always, but there is some commonalities.
Sure.
And people want a rich experience where they have a chance to connect with their neighbors and the people they see on the street. They want to dine outdoors, have conversations, a place where they can relax and truly be themselves. And I think that's what we try to offer, and I think a lot of the mixed-use projects that are going up also are trying to offer that. Each one has its own niche. Mm-hmm. West Village was geared primarily for the people in the urban core of the city, but we noticed very early on that it attracts people from far north, south, east, and west. So we feel like that's been very, very successful.
Yeah, I would agree.
And the store sales every year keep going up. So
yeah. Well, and we're even starting to see the grocery stores, start to take part and become part of a building. You might have that grocery store and then residences on top, office combined. We're just seeing some really unique things where people kind of wanting everything right there.
Right. And, with the grocery stores participating, which has only been a recent development, that really gets exciting because it really offers people an opportunity not to have to use their cars at all for their entertainment, for their everyday shopping needs. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty exciting. I know that if I ever retired, I would like to retire to a place like a West Village where I had everything outside my door.
Yeah, I agree. And, over 7 million folks in the greater Metroplex. I mean, we kind of need more of that because, the roads are just getting so unbelievable sticky.
Well, there's so many projects now underway in the Metroplex, so many $1 billion plus projects. It's almost mind-boggling.
It is.
I've never seen so much development in any period of the almost 50 years I've been in the business.
Yeah, we were talking before the show. I mean, we talked about, the industrial being built off of I-20, pretty much all along I-20 in the Metroplex. And then, of course, Frisco's booming like nonstop. Down here in downtown Dallas it is. We've got new things coming up in Mansfield, Fort Worth, all over. Yeah, really, no matter where you go, something is going on. You took a break kind of away from the company, focused on other projects for a while. Talk about some of those projects you worked on. I think there was what project you worked on down in Baja?
Well, there was. It was called Loreto Bay, it was an 8,000 acre project that we were doing with the Fonatur, the Mexican government tourist development agency, and probably 35 years ago, they went down and developed 18-hole golf course, built some hotels, and there was nobody there. And so it was like a case of build it and they will come. And they did this as something similar when they developed down further on Baja and Cabo and other places. They did it with Cancun. They did it with a number of their developments, and this one was the largest environmentally sustainable development at the time in the world. We had dedicated 5,000 acres to never be developed, to be a nature preserve, teaching environment, organic farming, various things like that. We were able to get the local communities. We were able to get potable water and a source of potable water for them to drink. Even though water's all around them. And I wish you could have seen this one scene when we were redeveloping the golf course and we were taking the top level off. We had about 200 of our employees and associates walking through the entire golf course and collecting lizards and other kind of amphibians and various critters and relocating them so that we could scrape the top level without doing much damage to the ecosystem.
Well, and that's environmentally friendly for sure.
Yes. Unfortunately, 2007, 2008 occurred, and everything slowed down. Most of the sales were coming from California. Yeah. And so the project kind of slowed down to a stop for a period of time. We'd already built about 1,000 homes and quite a bit of commercial space. And now, the property now, as I understand, is owned by Carlos Slim. So he can do what he wants with it.
And I understand starting to take back off with that as well. And that's one of the things, and you talk about the environmentally friendly part of it. It's one thing I've always kind of admired about what you guys do. I mean, you guys have done a lot of work in the past providing some free services, for the YMCA, the Scottish Rite, and what people don't understand is, you guys don't necessarily just broker deals. I mean, you guys are about, development, helping with the financing of the construction, et cetera. There's so many different levels that you guys handle within your company. It's not single facet by any stretch. There's so many layers to it, and I don't think people really understand that.
Well, the founder of our company, my grandfather, was declared by the Dallas Morning News I think it was in a year before he died, 1967, as God's real estate man. And that was because of all the work he did for churches and charities and how much time Henry S. Miller Company spent on trying to enhance and improve the community. Mm-hmm. And we're also grateful that we're here in such a rich, warm community that fosters this kind of entrepreneurship and development that we always want to give something back. In our company, my grandfather established a tradition of service, integrity, and community service and work. So we are definitely continuing that and even growing that.
Yeah, and one of those examples, too, is you got the golf tournament coming up here in another week and a half, 2 weeks, and a lot of that benefits a couple different charities, but one of the programs that benefits is LIFT, which is Literacy Instruction for Texas, Well, so that's a great program.
My sister-in-law, who's chairlady of the company, Tonihka Miller, has been on the State Board of Education for so many years and has been a past chairman of the State Board of Education. So we have a real commitment to education.
Very good. Well, kind of wrapping things up, let's talk about, so you coming back to the company.
Right.
And, what's the outlook for the future for you and for the company? And
well, I never went too far away.
Right, right.
Put it that way. I was always kind of connected in some manner, but one of the things that I'm focused on is development of mixed-use communities and mixed-use development. I started that when when I developed with my partners West Village. And we're going to continue that tradition, and we have a couple of projects in the works that we're just undertaking that we think are going to be exciting, and not necessarily in the downtown area, but in other districts as well, north and south.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many opportunities for a company that's, where you're at. There's just, kind of pick and choose, what you want to do. So many opportunities out there. Well, look, folks, we've been talking with Henry S. Miller, the third legendary icon from HSM. Hey, thank you so much for coming into the show, especially live, and I really enjoyed the conversation.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you. Hey, folks, we're going to take a short break. We'll see you on the other side.
Texas A&M rigs the student body election in favor of a gay student. Grant Stinchfield here. That's the concern. Could it possibly be true? The evidence that suggests yes. Monday at 5 on the Stinchfield Report, 5 to 8 p.m., 570 KLIF.
Far from the shores of home, two African-American U.S. Army privates fight for their lives on the battlefronts of World War II. The first Black War correspondents fight to cover the perspective of the black soldier. The novel A Private War, it weaves all this and more into an epic World War II era story of friendship, conflict, religion, and redemption. Get a copy of Private War, a novel by Perry Cockerell today, now available on Amazon.com. And tune in regularly to Inside Real Estate Sundays, 8 to 9 a.m. to hear Perry Cockerell, attorney at law, as he provides expert analysis of the latest and greatest in legal news. When it comes to your mortgage and refinance needs, trust Terri Waggoner, our resident mortgage expert on Inside Real Estate Radio. With a wide range of financing options and competitive interest rates, you can trust Terri for a fast and reliable loan process with superior service. Go to terriwaggoner.com or 469-644-4818 today. Supreme Lending is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID number 207089, 6730 Horizon Road, Suite B, Heath, Texas, 75032. SML Mortgage Banker Registration, Residential Mortgage Loan Originator.
If you have a timeshare, this time of year you're probably thinking about those maintenance fees coming due. Hi, I'm Karen Holloway, owner of Lone Star Transfer, located right here in the DFW area. Before you pay your maintenance fees, call us for a free consultation, 972-722-3166. We'll get you out of your timeshare and put a stop to those maintenance fees, guaranteed. 972-722-3166 or LoneStarTransfer.com.
KLIF News and Information, still at 570 AM and also at 96.3 HD2.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Yeah, we're doing, folks. We are back. Hey, don't forget the website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. Hey, it's time to talk with our resident expert of all things legal. We got Perry Cockerell here. And, of course, he's also the author of A Private War, which is available on Amazon. Also, his website, perryjcockerell.com, perryjcockerell.com. So, Mr. Perry, how are we doing today? It's good to see you.
Nice to be back and see you and everyone else here.
Good to see you. And by the way, a big congratulations to you. You've got a little one in the house again.
Little baby girl.
Congratulations to you and Camille.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's huge. So what? I know we're going to talk about, what are we talking about, Bill 1894?
We are. I want to bring this back because this issue is one I spoke with earlier. It's about the boundary disputes, the encroachments, the improvements. It's where someone buys a piece of property and then they find out that their boundary is incorrect, that actually somebody's put an improvement on it. They moved the boundary line. They put an encroachment on it. And particularly where it comes up is kind of like AT&T or other entities. They might put underground cables. They might put a utility pole, or your neighbor might build a wall, or your neighbor might move the fence over a little bit because they think they own that land. That is a real serious problem that has been going on for a long time.
Sure.
And it's being litigated all across the United States. And the legislature has finally decided to do something about this. But just to give you a little recap, there's just two cases that are very contrasting. One of them is out of Fort Worth, but it was a landlord-tenant relationship. The lease is executed in 1994. In 2006, the tenant moves the boundary line and subleases out about 400 square feet of land to another communications entity, and they began making money off this little sublease, which is 1/3 the size of the entire lease, but more valuable than the entire lease. Landlord doesn't know this. The landlord signs an amendment in 2007 and doesn't realize the boundary line has been moved. And so when he comes to sell the adjoining land which he owns in 2013, he can't because there's an encroachment on the adjoining land, and he figures this out. So he files suit to remove his own tenant, which is really a subtenant, from this adjoining land and declare the boundary line. Now, what happened in this suit is the court said, well, you can't do that. That boundary line, those improvements were put there in 2006, and you didn't file suit to 2013. Your suit is barred. 2 years after that occurred. You should have known, you're the owner, you should know what's going on your property, essentially.
Right.
That's the first case. And the second case comes out of Corpus Christi, and that involved, joining landowners. One of them had a right to go over the other party's land to get to their land. Well, the one landowner just didn't like that, so they just built a wall to stop that. They don't want their next door neighbor driving over their land, even though they had an easement to do that.
Right.
4 years later.
And we see this a lot in rural areas. We see it a lot where the road is on one homeowner, landowner's property, and there's other homes are accessible off of that road. We see that a lot. And if that homeowner that actually owns the roadway becomes a problem, it can become a problem. You can't get to your house.
It's a problem, and that could potentially involve every piece of property that's purchased.
Yeah.
The boundary line might not be right. Somebody has a concrete sidewalk there. They might be sharing something on an adjoining land that might involve a party wall or something. It is not a good idea to not put your property, lines exactly on the lines. Make sure your fences and you have good neighbors. Well, in the other suit, they filed suit 4 years later, and the court barred the suit and said, well, no, 2 years. Well, they take it up on appeal, and they said, no, wait a minute. That's not correct. Texas has a concept of adverse possession, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You cannot bar this suit. What's barred after 2 years is the money damages for possessing that property. But what is not barred is your ability to tell them to get their property off the land. Now, this is what's going on even in several states and even in Texas, is that this concept of possessing the land is getting confused with this 2-year statute of limitation designed to limit the money damages that you can recover. That's what the legislature's trying to do.
Right.
But they're not saying now we have a 2-year adverse possession statute, which is effectively what is going on. It's going on because of the fact that there's some confusion over what is permanent damage and what is temporary damages. And the Supreme Court has defined that permanent and temporary. But though that definition is intended to be in areas, let's say where you have a chemical spill, or let's say where something is running on somebody else's land, or you've done something regularly, it might be permanent, and you might be able to fix it, but it's going to happen again in the future. That's what permanent. But this concept of permanent is being applied to improvements, encroachments, and boundary disputes. That's not what the statute, in my opinion, was intended to do at all.
Right.
And so by default, what's happening is let's say someone can come in and put a utility pole, an underground cable. They can move a boundary line, even a cyclone fence, as in this case, and say, oh, Judge, this is permanent. Well, it's not permanent. Under this one case, it's a lease. It's got to come off at the end of the lease.
Right.
But you're telling the court it's permanent. They're successfully winning. They're winning by preventing the property owner's suit by saying it's barred by 2 years. But they're not winning because they're proving a right to be on the property, either under a document or they have established a right to be there by adverse possession under the 3, 5, and 10. So this one case is actually went all the way up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court would not hear it. It's actually went up now it's in the U.S. Supreme Court, and it challenges the constitutionality of this 2-year statute by saying that it conflicts with the adverse possession process and it denies due process. Basically, these people are acquiring other people's land.
Right.
They're not paying. They're doing it after 2 years. It's circumventing the adverse possession process, and they're saying that it's violates equal protection because now the naked trespasser can boot the owner off the property in 2 years, whereas under the adverse possession, the trespasser gets 3, 5, and 10. Those are different times. You should be treated equally because you're similarly situated in the same real estate. None of it makes sense. Well, anyway, I give credit to Senator Connie Burton out of Fort Worth, who filed Bill 1894. Hasn't been assigned to a committee yet, but will be soon. But what this bill is designed to do is clarify that in this area law and say that this 2-year statute of limitation is not designed to circumvent the adverse possession process. It only says the damages for 2 years are barred. You still have a right to remove somebody, to tell them to get their utility pole off, to move their cyclone fence, to move their casual fence, to move their encroachments.
Yeah,
get them off your property.
Absolutely. I mean, slowly what's kind of been happening is the owner's rights have been eroding due to some of these precedents that have been set with some of these other cases, with this. And it's not what it's designed for.
It's exactly right. And it's occurring on a nationwide basis. Yeah. And this petition just argues that this is just another little erosion of your rights of small or large pieces of adjoining property. And it's really just overlooked.
Yeah.
And this is about encroachment on your property. What happens to the property owner when they make a mistake and reduce their property or their property line and they move their fence in or something like that? Is that affected by this, or is it strictly encroachment by others outside of your property?
Well, this statute will allow them to, it won't prevent them from being able to go back and get their property. The other side might say, well, too bad. We've had it here and your suit's barred by 2 years. That's not, they'd still have to establish 3, 5, and 10, which is what the legislature has. Everybody's known this for many years. 3, 5, and 10 is not used anymore because you can effectively boot somebody off after 2 under this other statute, that this statute was not intended for that purpose.
Not for that purpose at all.
And
they definitely need to clear all of this up because we need to protect the property owners. But until that happens, if you're a property owner, particularly if you've got hundreds of acres and you're not out there looking at it, and maybe you're leasing it, maybe it's a deer lease, or it could be any of that type of thing where you're not going to the property regularly, you don't know what's going on. Something like this could happen to you where you lose, some of your rights.
That's exactly right. Sometimes the property is under management by, like, for example, in this one in Fort Worth was under property management. It was a property manager that moved the fence line and now say it's permanent damage. You can't sue me.
Unbelievable.
You have to be careful who manages the property. I guess, do I have more time? Or just let me know.
We are running.
Done.
Yeah, we're running.
Because I'm
now.
good.
Okay, very good. Well, good
you.
stuff. Well, as this progresses, and hopefully they start to, this definitely needs to be handled, and it's so important that you're bringing it to us because if you're a major property owner, and obviously we're talking about acreage in most cases with these types of cases where the damages are, and where a leasee can somehow get additional rights. Through some of these statutes, you got to be careful out there. And that's, we're talking to you guys. So, folks, we're going to take a short break. Then we're going to come on back.
Spring storm season is here. Meteorologist Brad Barton says severe weather could be in our future next week. Be sure to tune in to Dave and me Monday morning for news, weather, and traffic 5 to 8 a.m. on News and Information in the Morning on 570 KLIF.
Folks, it's Mike the Realtor here from Inside Real Estate, and if you're not listing your property with me, bottom line is you're leaving money on the table. There are over 15,000 agents here in the DFW area, most of whom are part-time and do a few deals a year. Do you want to trust them to sell your home? I think not. Call Mike the Realtor, the radio realty expert from Inside Real Estate on 570 AM KLIF. Promise you will get to me direct. Go to InsideRealEstateRadio.com. Don't sell your home with just anyone. Go to InsideRealEstateRadio.com and connect with Mike the Realtor.
KLIF News and Information. Still at 570 AM. And also at 96.3 HD2.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey, folks, we are back. InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. Richard Tonihka is here. Time to do a little insurance talk. By the way, home toys,
You name it, we do it.
Exactly. He shops 25 companies behind the scenes to get you best policy, best rate. Allstate Farmers and all the rest stick you in their box only. He can find the right spot for you. His website, richardtagency.com, richardtagency.com. And he can handle, any land or anything throughout the state of Texas for you. What's up, Richard?
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
Since we're about to get into storm season, wanted to talk to you about your roofs and making sure that if you haven't checked it out, make sure you check it out. If you're looking at switching insurance, if you're going to, or if you're just making part of your spring cleaning should be to go in and make sure that you're having your roof checked out. Simply because last year I heard from more than a few roofers that only 60% of the people that should have gotten a new roof or should have put in a claim for a new roof ended up replacing their roof. So 40% of the people that should have actually got a new roof didn't. And so if you're looking at switching insurance, or even if you're renewing, you're coming up and they're going to come out and they're going to look at your house, look at the conditions and everything, and making sure that your house is still in insurable shape, that they're going to look at your roof. And if there's enough damage on there, most carriers, if you do not replace the roof or replace the damage within 1 year of the cause or the accident, it's not going to be covered by your insurance. And so the last major hailstorm that we had was March 23rd of last year. So now we've already passed that 1 year. And so is your insurance going to take care of it? Maybe, maybe not. They legally do not have to anymore. And I don't know about y'all, but I have never known of an insurance company to pay 1 cent more than what they had to pay for anything.
That's right.
And
then you got to hold them down. When those adjusters come out there on the roof, I suggest you go up on the roof with them and then say, hey, you're going to replace this roof, right? And then get them in a position where you can maybe push them off, And just kidding.
Not push them off, but just let them know what happens if they don't agree with you.
Hey, you're going to replace this roof, right? And I'm going to have to sock you one.
I make sure that, what I tell customers is I don't ever want to put in a claim that I don't know what the outcome's going to be. I don't like going into anything blind or leaving it up to someone else's judgment. I want to do our due diligence, making sure that my customers are taken care of and that we know that what the outcome is going to be. And even if the adjuster disagrees with us, that's fine. An adjuster's word isn't the last thing that's being stated on it. There are steps. Let's say we have 2 or 3 roofers come out, look at your roof. All of them agree that you need a new roof. Adjuster comes out and he can't find anything. Okay, that's fine. We'll take it to the next step. Just because he disagrees with us, that doesn't mean that we haven't already done our due diligence. We know what's going on. We've got everything documented. Then we take it to the next step in the process. And so normally we don't ever have to do that because I'm out there with my customers. The roofer's out there with the customer, meeting the adjuster to make sure that we know exactly what he's going to find and what we're going to be doing down the line. And so it's just a matter of him coming out and affirming everything that we already know.
Right.
But that being said, making sure that when you're going through here and you're doing your spring cleaning and all that, do all your maintenance on your insurance as well. Make sure that your house is in insurable condition. Make sure that when you're looking at your pipes and everything else, just kind of go around. If you had to have your house inspected, is it going to pass inspection? Because if you're switching insurance, that's what they're going to look at. Do you take pride in home ownership of your house? Does it look like you're taking pride in it? Because we've all had the fence that had the wooden fence post where your fence is leaning, and switch it out. Yeah. It's a very simple thing.
And your neighbors would appreciate you maintaining your property as well.
Exactly, because especially with the way how home prices are going right now.
Yeah.
And with as long as homes are lasting on the market, yes, it doesn't have to be in the best of conditions to begin with, But it's still, I mean, if you're going to be selling your house and they're going to be contacting you and getting new insurance, it has to be up to insurable conditions, and you want to get top dollar for your home as well. So make it look as nice as it can. And so right now, we already had our roof replaced this last year from the hailstorm. But now I'm doing my fence and everything else and making sure that it looks like it's supposed to look.
And going back to something you mentioned on a few shows back too, it's important that you get with Richard and get a few roofers to come out there, because a lot of times, just because it's hail season and everybody's replacing their roof, which it seems like is an annual thing now, doesn't mean your roof needs to be replaced. And
absolutely not.
So you don't want to get one of those claims of zero that you talked about in one of the other shows, remember?
And that's the reason
that could happen.
That's the reason I say we do our due diligence. There is nothing that's going to come up that we don't know about. The reason that we have more than one company come out and look at your roof beforehand is because I don't want you to get that zero claim on your record, because once it's there, they know that there was damage.
Exactly.
They know that there wasn't enough damage to either meet your deductible or for them to pay for anything, but they know that there was damage. Now they want to see a receipt that, hey, we took care of the damage that you knew was there, but it didn't meet your deductible. So now you're out whatever your deductible is to make sure that you had the repairs made to the house.
Exactly. And it's going to hurt you next time as well. Folks, hey, Richard can take care of all of your insurance needs, home, auto, toys, everything. His website, richardtagency.com, richardtagency.com. Give him a call. He will take care of you. Trust me, folks. He's going to just take care of you. He's the best guy ever. Hey, folks, we are out of here. We're here every week, 8 to 9 a.m. As always, InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. We will see you next week. The Richard Tonihka Insurance Agency in Arlington has nearly unlimited resources when it comes to getting you the best insurance rates and policies for home, auto, and more. As part of the Goosehead Insurance brand, you, the consumer, have the power of choice through the Richard Tonihka Insurance Agency Network. Richard can quote over 20 A-rated companies to find the best fit for you, the best policy at the best price. Call Richard today at 817-286-2002. It's the Richard Tonihka Goosehead Insurance Agency, 817-286-2002.